Yeah, cool.
We are now live. Welcome to Authentic Influence Live. It's Anthony Chancellor here from Simple Creative Marketing. And today I have with me Caroline Brunne from Organise.Curate.Design.com. And Caroline has spent more than a decade mastering the art of life management. And I was really excited to bring Caroline on today to talk about life management because this is certainly an area that has become pretty, it's been a focus for a lot of people now that we're in lockdown, right? And so there's, things coming up like, oh my gosh, all these things I got to manage at home. And now that I'm sort of merging my work life with my home life and my family life, what does that look like? And, the overwhelming response I had from people so far has been stress. It's been overwhelmed. It's been, how do I deal with this? And so you've had a career, your career in events. You've been working in the events industry. So you realized that you wanted to uncover a purpose to empower others with tools to take control of their lives. I really like that. So welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's I'm in Melbourne and it's a pretty grey, windy kind of day today. So it's nice to just connect with someone. And I find that human connection piece is always a good way to lift you out of a grey Melbourne day.
100%. And you're in a very unique situation with Melbourne being in the serious lockdown in Australia. So do you want to just, what's been your experience over the since February or March when this all started, becoming a thing? And that you do, have you noticed anything? What's been different, I suppose, with your clientele or just people in general and how they're dealing with the circumstances that we're in right now?
Yeah, so I guess for me personally, I've probably had a similar experience to a lot of other people, especially a lot of other metro Melburnians, because I know that collectively as a country here in Australia, we had a certain level of change and development in those first few months. And then as things changed state by state, things changed quite significantly in different places. So I guess personally, I run my own business. My husband runs his own business and he works in the brand and activation space in the events industry. So he was and is heavily impacted by the closures due to COVID. And then we have two children. So I've got one in year 10 and I've got one in grade 2. So very vast differences in kind of how they learn and what they need from me as a parent and how we've adapted to remote learning and all of those things as well. And right now, in this first week of term 4 in Victoria, they're both remote learning still. So one will go back to school next week on campus and the other will still remote learn for a little bit longer. And so that in itself, if I talk personally, there's been a lot of change and some days are great and some days are not. And that's just part of COVID, I think. But I guess how I've seen that reflected in my clients and their lives, it's been really fascinating to watch. And I think there's a couple of elements that ring consistently right through everyone. It's the fear of the unknown. It's the anxiety that comes of the constant change. So kind of waking up and going, what's today going to bring? Is it good? Is it bad? Can I deal with it? What's my headspace? How's my mental health? That sort of stuff. And we work with a lot of business owners and startups who have families and obviously are doing life, but are also running business. And it's interesting because I have almost a 50-50 split Melbourne-Sydney-based clients. And so I speak to my Sydney-based clients and it's almost like talking to someone in a whole nother world sometimes. So it's been very interesting. It's brought out a lot of business values and human values in people as individuals. So identifying what's most important to you, who are the people in your circle and who do you lean on for support, because we've all had to be pretty vulnerable in the last 6 or 7 months and that's really been a consistent theme as well. So I guess it's that's as clear of a snapshot as I can give you over a 6-month period.
Yeah, I'd be really fascinated. I mean, I resonating with what you're saying, and I'm certainly experiencing that within my own circle and people online that I've been connecting with. And like I can tell you, networking is a completely different experience to walking into a room, right, and just shaking hands and hugs and all those sort of things.
Yeah.
Let's like go from that. And you talked about anxiety, and that's coming up for people. And even before COVID, like you were already working on this thing called life management. Why don't we define what that is for you and for your clients, and how did you get into that work?
Yeah, so how I got into the work is why most of our clients end up on our doorstep in the first place. So I was in another business running a pretty busy life. We had a fairly large team. It was pretty go, go, go. As I said, I've got 2 children. My husband runs his own business. It's pretty fast paced. And I was finding that even as organised as I was and am, naturally, I was struggling with things on my to-do list that were more life-based. So they weren't necessarily, and they were quite high level. So will, super, kind of all those important but not urgent tasks. So those things were important, but I didn't like the fact that they kept sitting on the list, and I would always push them aside. And so there was a bit of a light bulb moment back in 2017 where I was like, surely I could get a life assistant, because I don't need a PA or an EA. I need someone to do my life stuff. And there wasn't really such a thing, or not in the areas that I was searching for. I have since found similar services to ours. They just weren't framed in that way. And so therefore, if we're talking Google search words, they were not the search words that I was searching for. And so I had discussions with people, and I realized that my needs were high level and important, not urgent. But a lot of people had needs that were really granular. It was the pile of laundry is piling up, and I need to book my kids into swimming, but they don't want to go back to that pool. They want to go somewhere else, but I've got to fill out the forms and do the research, and admin logistics, piling up. And I thought there's something to that. And the more I spoke to people, the more they were like, yes, if someone could come in and just be like a fairy that fixes all the things, that would be amazing. So that's where the idea sparked. And then, yeah, I guess with the skills that I have in event management, so I had to run multiple events at the same time. I would be taking briefs for an event coming up in 6 months whilst also delivering an event that was happening at the time. And anyone that's worked in that industry knows you have to have multiple balls in the air all at once, and you're juggling them at different rates. And so to be able to do that in such a large context, and then take that methodology and apply it to someone's life and their home, that was pretty easy for me. So there were a few easy transitions on how I could create this concept of life and lifestyle management. And then, yeah, fast forward 3 years later, and the concept is there and it exists, and it has merged a lot, in the sense that my original intention was supporting the mums and dads of the world who were really stressed and burnt out and juggling all the balls. And though we still support people that are parents, the focus has deviated more towards small business and entrepreneurs who, from my experience, are really struggling the most, because they don't get to clock off at 5 o'clock. They don't have a boss that gives them annual leave or whatever. They've got to be thinking nonstop, and it's really hard to switch off in those cases.
Yeah, speaking to the converted, I'm hearing all of that. I'm hearing, the inability to clock off, the pressure and responsibility sits with the business owner. And where do you go? Like, where do you go when you've got, yes, I've got to manage all these things to make sure the business is working and the money's coming through the door and the bills are paid, and then now you're going to go home and got to deal with the husband or the wife or the kids and all of that, and the grandparents if you've got them in the house, and all these things. So how did you? Can you take us back to when you sort of did the initial launch, I suppose, of the business, and how did you get your first clients? I'm always curious how that began, and what was that like for you?
Of course. So I, as I said, I was running a whole nother business at the time, because that's what entrepreneurs do. They think that adding more to their plate's a good idea. So I did that. I did the side hustle concept first. And I always recommend that to people when they have an idea. Sit on it for a little bit, bounce it off a few people that you trust, but then bounce it off people that aren't going to tell you that it's a great idea, that are going to probably pick it apart a little bit for you, or test it and say, oh, is that going to work? Because it's going to give you that push you need to decide if that is something you want to pursue. And then after that, I thought, okay, side hustle, I'll work on this in my spare time because I had so much of that. And the first thing I thought, well, how do I get this idea and concept into the hands of the people that I want to help first? And as I said, it was the mums and dads. So what I initially did is I reached out to family and friends and people that had children that were school aged, because that was my experience. So that was a kind of, we talk business avatar, that was an avatar I understood. So I thought, well, how can I reach these people and test the market? So I initially started by offering gift vouchers and free sessions to schools to have at maybe like the school fair as an auction item. So someone could win it as a prize. I could work with them. Obviously, I was, donating my time, but I was getting all this experience to say, okay, what do people actually want me to help them with? So some people think that they want someone to come and do the laundry or someone to do X, but then when I met with them, we'd talk about something completely different. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? So where is the mental load actually sitting? Is it sitting in the task, or is it sitting in the procedure behind the task, or is it sitting in the streamlining of the household and kind of almost the mood of the household? Because when everything's chaotic and kids can't find their shoe and there's no milk in the fridge and you forgot the school notice and it's camp tomorrow and you didn't pack, and when all of that chaos starts, that creates more stress than the actual milk not being in the fridge piece. So as I started working with people on this kind of complimentary free basis through these great opportunities also for marketing, because in donating a gift voucher, people in the school got to read my brochures and they got to bid for the auction item or whatever else. So it was giving me a bit of free marketing at the same time. So that's kind of how I played with the concept, did some live market research and spoke to people that I was trying to pitch to. And it became apparent to me that there were two things I had to do. I either needed to tap into parents who just financially sat in a completely different bracket to the parents I was probably speaking to initially, because any service cost money and they needed to be of a particular caliber in their careers financially to be able to afford the service, or there needed to be another hook. And that's when the concept of the business owner entrepreneur came in, because people in that space understand what it's like to pay a graphic designer or to pay someone for a service, and for that to be just a part of something they weave into their day-to-day costs. And so when I looked at that, I was like, there's something in that, and that's how the business started to deviate in that direction.
The transition, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And something that you said there is just around people were coming to you or had this sense of, maybe I just need help with someone to do the shopping for me or to come and do the laundry or whatever that may be. And then you kind of realize actually there's deeper things going on there. So what are, now you've done this work for a number of years, what have you come to realize are, I guess, the top 2 or 3 things that are occupying people's minds that really add to the mental load and that you're ending up working with them on?
Yeah. So there's a couple of factors there. So the first one is the dreaded I should, and the preconceptions of what we choose to take on. Sometimes they're gender roles, sometimes they're cultural, traditional things that we've taken on from our parents or whatever else, that we think, I'm the male, I should be the breadwinner and I should be able to do X, Y, Z, or I'm the woman and I should be able to do this, or whatever it is. There's a lot of stuff we bring into these situations that we don't realize we have, and they're really in our subconscious. So unpacking those and identifying, well, yeah, you think you should be doing X, Y, Z because of whatever reason, but let's unpack that and identify, do you even like doing that? And is there someone in your household that's better suited to that? And how can we shift all these loads, because there's so many loads, how can we shift them and find some even space? And then it is about space. So how can we just kind of unpack it all and get an understanding of what a month in your household or a month in your life looks like, and where are you working at your best? Where are you really struggling? Where do you have the finances to outsource and streamline and whatever else? And so creating some systems and creating some opportunities to create more space, because when you have space, then you can put something in it. You can fill it with a hobby, or you can fill it with more time with your family, or you can fill it with whatever you choose to. But when it's kind of a bit of a mess, it's really hard to identify where the gaps are and where you can outsource. So they're probably the key things that I normally start people with. So understanding how they kind of how they feel about things and what their mindset is, and then where we can kind of unpack that for them. So it sounds like almost like a counselling session, and it sometimes can feel a little bit like that sometimes. I normally call the first session the Pandora's box exercise, and I literally unpack everything, and then they feel like they've had this huge weight lifted. And I find it fascinating because some people they'll call and they'll be like, I think we need to talk about the laundry. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then next thing you know, they're telling me about how, you know, they're in their second marriage and they've got this paperwork from their divorce and they're not sure if they need to do this. But I think if I get rid of the, and it's like, whoa, that's the stuff that's like in your head at 2 a.m. and that's why you're stressed. It's not the laundry. So let's fix that, and then we can make space for all this cool stuff that you want to do. And so there's an element of that should mindset baggage piece. And then the next piece, which I think is really important, is just the time management piece. So some people are really good at time management and some people are terrible at it. But I think for me, it's also finding the happy medium between my style of time management, which is very rigid, and then someone that needs a bit more fluid space to still have the capacity to kind of change their mind and do what they want, but certain things kind of need to be slotted in and factored in. So time management is probably the other kind of key factor in getting people started.
So let's talk about time management, because that's a hot topic, obviously, for a lot of us. What are your, I guess, principles around that, or do you have a framework that you help your clients with to really understand where their time is being allocated and how to better shift it to doing the things that they want and doing the things that are going to make the biggest impact in what they're trying to achieve?
Yeah, there's a couple of kind of things that I kind of go to, or the tips that I've heard that I've implemented or whatever else. And the key ones that I love, the first one is the Eisenhower matrix. So anyone that Googles Eisenhower matrix, you'll see lots of different versions of it, but the concept is exactly the same. You'll find that I used the phrase before, important, not urgent, and that comes from the Eisenhower matrix. So essentially it's 4 boxes. It's not urgent and not important. That's the stuff that shouldn't be on the list in the first place. It's important, not urgent. That's the stuff you got to schedule and make sure that you set a due date for it a month from now or whatever. But you don't want it to drop off the list because it's important. And then it's like you kind of do this chart, and essentially what you get out of it is perfect. So you've got your urgent and important. That could be something like, I need to put fuel in the car. And you do, because if not, you might end up on the side of the road on the way to the meeting. So do that, because you got to do it first. Not urgent, important. That's like the example I said earlier about wills, super. That stuff is really important, but probably doesn't need to be done tomorrow. Urgent and not important is definitely what you're delegating. And delegation is a huge part of what I teach people, and it's making sure that you delegate to whoever you've got access to. So I speak to families all the time. I'm like, the moment your child can walk, you can delegate something to them, because they can pick up a toy and put it in the box. So there's different styles of delegating, and just making sure that you're utilizing them in context to who you have access to and who you live with and spend time with. And then, the eliminate or delete box is the not urgent and not important. And that's sometimes where a lot of that should stuff ends up. So you have all these preloaded things that you've got in your psyche around, like even for me personally as a woman, and a woman that kind of grew up in a household where women cooked, and that was, my father cooks as well, but that's just the way it was. And so I could very easily have pulled in this preconception of, I need to cook my family dinner every night and it needs to be this and blah, 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 blah. And I don't. I choose not to do that. And if eliminate means that on a Thursday night we order takeaway because that's just the best thing for our schedule or for my mental health or for my workload or whatever, then that's totally okay. Get it off the list and choose to find a way of doing it in a different way, or delegating it, or whatever else. So Eisenhower matrix is definitely one of my go-tos for time management, because though it's not kind of thinking about every second of your day, it's about the decisions that you're making and how you're using your time. The other one that I heard on a podcast a very long time ago was the rule of no, number 7. So when you're making a decision, if you have to rate it 1 to 10, so I'm going to go buy those shoes. They look great, maybe a bit out of my price range. What do I rate them 1 to 10? If it's a 7, well, if it's a 6 or under, then it's a no. If it's an 8, 10, it's a yes, but you can't use the number 7. So 7 doesn't exist in the scale. And the reason why 7 doesn't exist is because it's like this nice number that we give stuff. It's like the weird average number. When you're feeling nice, you're like, it's a 7. If you can't use it, then it's either a no or a yes. And I use that often. I use the rule of no number 7 often when I'm having to make decisions about my time. So pre-COVID life, used to go to lots of networking events and lots of business events, and I loved it. But sometimes I get invited to things and I think, oh, do I really want to go to that? Sounds great, but and there's 2 ways of looking at that. So one, I'd run it through that theory and I'm like, is it a 6 or under, or is it an 8 to 10? That's an easy way of making that decision. And then if there was still a little bit of guilt there, I would use the theory of, if this invitation hit my desk today and it was for an event tomorrow, would I move something in my calendar to attend? Because I'm going to be just as busy 12 months from now as I am tomorrow, because my calendar is always pretty busy. So if it's something I'd move an appointment or move something for, then yeah, say yes, because a month from now, you're going to be wishing you didn't say yes, and you're going to be feeling really bad if you don't show up or whatever else. So those sorts of things where we kind of just fall in the trap of feeling obligated and feeling like you should and all of that. No, you shouldn't. Don't do it if you don't want to, unless you really have to. And there are things, unfortunately, that are, as adults, we have to do because we just have to do them. But be really mindful of how you choose to use your time. And then the last part is, please have a calendar and know what you're doing every day. So don't, like, I understand some people just go with the flow, and we're just very different people, and that's cool. But if you're not at that very end of the scale and you're somewhere kind of in between, or at my end, which is very, very structured, have one calendar and use it and know what you're planning to do the next day. And sometimes, like, set some time to check your emails and then don't check them every other second of the day and those sorts of things. So that could be really helpful.
I really like that. I love the tools you talked about there, the Eisenhower matrix.
Yeah.
You got the rule 7, and just choosing. That reminds me of it was Mark Manson or someone who wrote about, it's either a hell yes or a F no.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, there's a few people that have talked about it. I actually heard it on a Tim Ferriss podcast, but I can't remember who he was interviewing at the time. And as I said, I heard it a few years ago, and I've actually used it in, like, when it comes to hiring staff, and sometimes even when it comes to recruitment, especially in small business. I often use the rule of, would I enjoy having this person over for a barbecue at my house with my family? And if I can't see that happening, then how am I going to spend every day with them, or however many days they're going to work in the business? Because you get really, especially in small business, you become really close with your staff, and you want to know that that gut instinct thing is something that you're listening to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to get into the if someone's looking at this and going, okay, love the idea, life management, yes, I need that, and I want to, engage someone like Caroline. What does a life manager, or what is a life assistant? What does a life assistant actually do?
I guess the question is, what does a life assistant not do? It's pretty broad, to be honest with you, but I'm always really clear that I am we are the admin and logistics of the task. We are not the actual task. So I will never come to your house to fold laundry because I don't like doing my own. So that's just not a thing on the service offering. But I will find someone that can do that for you, or I will find a service, or I'll find a streamlined way of you not having to do it. But I'm also not physically going to come and do it either. So I've recently helped a family who just wanted to look at going away. They were in New South Wales. They wanted to look at going on a family holiday because of the school holidays, but they were really mindful of all the extra information they needed to be across because of COVID. So I found them accommodation, but I also found them a list of places they could travel and just the extra stuff they needed to know. So it was like, you need to book beforehand and you need to have this ticket, and the time for this thing is specifically this because of COVID. So there's all this extra thinking that needs to go into tasks sometimes. And we don't have the headspace to do them. So we take that away from you and we say, these are the bullet points, this is the summary, go do the thing and enjoy, and you didn't have to spend the hours kind of getting it ready. But yeah, when it comes to things we can do, it's pretty extensive. So laundry, as I said, that example is a great one because I've put people onto laundry services so many times. Meal planning, as I said, I'm not going to come and cook the food for you, but I can either help you pick out your meals for the week and plot them into your calendar and order your groceries online for you so everything arrives and you just cook it, kind of like the concept of HelloFresh or something like that. But then I know you and your family personally, so I can tailor that to you and you don't really have to think about it. From a business sense, we kind of wear a lot of hats. So we've helped people launch their websites. We do social media. We help people write copy, and we've orchestrated photo shoots and helped people do that sort of stuff. I have like a bit of an eye for design, so I've always got an interest in that element of business. The strangest request that I still don't know if it was a real request. I had a client who jokingly said, you know, one day, like if I had to get you to dump someone for me, would you do that? And I was like, yeah, I could probably do that. We're not doing it, but it was really funny. I was like, I think she's just testing the waters if that actually ever has to happen. She was just dating it, like she wasn't seeing anyone at the time. But at the time I was like, that would be cool. Just because if you could totally outsource the awkwardness of something like that to your assistant, I think that would be pretty cool. So that's probably one of the funniest things. We've had some very unusual clients and lots of different spaces, and yeah, life is life. So if you need it done, I can make it happen. If you've got the budget and the want and the need, I can make it happen. We just need to work out what that looks like.
Let's talk about the budget, because that's a question that I'm sure comes up for you a lot around, well, doesn't this sounds like the kind of stuff that millionaires do, right? Like how can a normal, mom and dad or a business owner here, I've got a couple of kids or not, but how much is this going to cost me? And, can I do it if I'm not, $1 million company, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, of course. So I guess there's two elements of that. So there's obviously, we just break it down as a life assistant or a business assistant to have the point of difference. So life assistant work is, it averages on around $60 an hour. Now I say that, and it probably, like to some households that could sound like a lot of money at the moment, and especially in this time of COVID, I completely understand that. The thing that you get for the $60 an hour is the fact that I am super speedy smart, or myself and my team are super speedy and smart at how we research things. So what could take you 3 hours on booking.com could take me 15 minutes. And so we jam pack a lot into the time that we spend on your tasks, and we also give you information in the most concise way possible, so you can just go do the thing. And we are really transparent in how we charge out our fees. So if we spend 17 minutes, we'll charge you for 17 minutes. Like, I'm not here to rip people off and really injure the pockets of mums and dads and small business owners, because I'm a mum and dad and small business owner. Like, I understand what it's like. So for me, it's really a value-based service, and it's about really supporting people and helping to shift that mental load. Now, on the flip side of that, so that's a pretty kind of easy example of how the life assistant concept works. All clients start with a free consultation call. So it's a 30-minute phone call with me. And sometimes that's all they want. Like, they just want to ask me a couple of questions and pick my brain, and I'm quite happy to give that time away. They get an opportunity to experience what it's just like to chat to me or someone from the team. I recently had one this week where within about 10 minutes of that call, I said, I am not the person or the service for you, but let me refer you to XYZ, because she physically needed someone in her house to help her with a few things, and she was interstate. So I was like, I actually can't leave 5 kilometres of my radius right now, so I can't help you even if I wanted to. So I just referred her to someone, and I think that's really important for people to have that positive experience. Post that free consultation call, I then encourage people before they become a client to do that Pandora's box exercise, which we formally call our discovery session. So it's a 2-hour session. It's $220. We normally do it by Zoom, and it's a massive brainstorm. And be it if you come in from a life perspective or a business perspective. I poke and prod, and I've got a million preloaded questions, and I check all the things, and out of that you get a report. So it gives you a to-do list and a game plan, and if you decide, I kind of don't really have the budget to do this long term, but I want to know how I would do it, or how Caroline would recommend I do it in a really method, like with a system and a method in place, I'll give you that, and then you can choose to do it yourself or get us to do it for you. And so yeah, from there you kind of go life, which is the rates that I just talked about, and then business kind of spans from about $100 an hour, and it's really flexible. So in that, I could be creating some social media stuff for you on Canva, posting things, liaising with a solicitor if you need a document written. It's a really broad administrative support that we provide, and then we obviously tap into our little black book of experts as well. So we've got some people that we work with kind of in-house, and then a whole heap of amazing people that can kind of make things happen behind the scenes. So it's pretty cool.
Wonderful. Now I just want to remind people it's Organise.Curate.Design.com. That's the website if you want to connect with Caroline and ask her about the services. I want to just sort of add on to what you said there about, whether it's $60 an hour or the $100 an hour, whatever it may be, you need to really consider what is your time worth, and also what is your mental load worth. Like I think, for you, like the example you gave, for me to spend 3 hours trying to research my next travel destination and what hotels I'm going to book or these sort of things, that's a drain. Like I don't enjoy it beyond the first 10 minutes, right? Yeah. And so, and that's taking my mental faculty away from, being present with my wife or my kids or whatever it may be. There's these other things that, it's really interesting because the way we started this conversation, you were saying, we after you were talking to people, you started to realize, it's not about the laundry, it's not about this and that, and we go to bed thinking about those things, like what are we doing tomorrow? How are we cleaning the house? What are we doing on the weekend? And I've got to go take the car for a service tomorrow, right? Like these are the things that are occupying our minds rather than the other things that we probably want to spend our time thinking about, right? Like Dad's birthday or whatever it may be. So
all the positive stuff. And I often call that so you've got your career in your life, the career or business or whatever it is that makes you money and pays the bills, and then you've got your family and your loved ones and all the things you enjoy and why we live life, and then everything else is grey. Like in the middle, it's just this white noise space where there's a million things going on, and sometimes if it's so jumbled, we get pulled from one pendulum to another and we miss all the stuff in the middle. And the stuff in the middle is like where the ideas happen, and we do have connections, or you meet new people, or you have a new business idea, or whatever it is. And if you're literally swinging from, I worked all day and now I'm at home and I've got to cook dinner and now I'm going to go back to work again, and you're missing all the stuff, that's life in the middle. And if it's a mess and you can't see through it because it's foggy, that's when you're missing it. So if we can clear it and you go, oh, okay, I've got to do this and this and this, and then I'm still in a lovely space to go back to home or go to work. It makes me really sad when I see clients come in and you can just see the heaviness. It's almost like they're carrying a boulder, and I just pick it up and go, let's just turn that into a few little rocks, and then we'll work out what we're going to do with the said rocks as opposed to the giant boulder. And you can almost see the shift in their kind of body language as they start to get this stuff out of their heads, which is great.
That's incredible. I love the analogy. I love the rocks and the boulders, and I love the fog, because we all want to get out of the fog, but it's hard to get out of it when you're in it because you don't see that you're in it, and that's a very common thing with particularly with entrepreneurs, because they just get into this space of like work, got to make that thing happen. And then it's just like you don't see anything else and your relationships start falling apart and all these things start to happen. Again, incredible work that you're doing, Caroline. I really commend you on what you've done and what you are doing. Thank you for joining us today. I want to remind everyone to head over to Organise.Curate.Design.com and also Organise.Curate.Design on Instagram. And that way you connect with Caroline and the amazing work that she's doing. And any last words for our viewers?
I think for me, it's just remember that it sounds doom and gloom and it's not supposed to be. It could all end tomorrow. So make sure that what you're doing today is something you love. Tell the people that you're around that you love them. Appreciate all those moments and practice that gratitude piece. And outsource all the crappy stuff to someone else. It doesn't have to be us. It can be us, but get rid of it. Do the stuff you want to do and use that moment to make a difference. It's really important.
Nice way to end it. All right, everyone, thank you for joining in, and we will see you on the next episode of Authentic Influence Live. Caroline, thanks again and appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.